computer. Shalom, everyone. This is Doug with Sister Shoshana, Sister Sally, and Sister Laura, and also our brother Dennis. And we are going through. We're gonna finally get back to continuing our Isaiah study in the book of Isaiah Yashayahu. And we will be starting at chapter 36. And I guess I'll start us off. And the title is Assyria Invades Yehuda. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Assyria came to attack the fortified towns of Yehuda and conquered them. Then the king of Assyria sent his chief of staff from Lachish with a huge army to confront King Hezekiahu in Jerusalem. The Assyrians took up a position beside the aqueduct that feeds water into the upper pool near the road leading to the field where cloth is washed. These are the officials who went out to meet with them: Eliakim, son of Hilkiyahu, the palace administrator; Shebna, the court secretary; and Joas, son of Asaph, the royal historian. Then the Assyrian king's chief of staff told them to give this message to Hezekiahu. This is what the great king of Assyria says. What are you trusting in that makes you so confident? Do you think that mere words can substitute for military skill and strength? Who are you counting on that you have rebelled against me? Oh, on Egypt? If you lean on Egypt, it will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Oh, that's interesting. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. But perhaps you will say to me, we are trusting in Yahuwah, our Elohim. But isn't he the one who was insulted by Hezekiahu? Didn't Hezekiahu tear down his shrines and altars and make everyone in Yehuda and Jerusalem worship only at the altar here in Jerusalem? I'll tell you what, strike a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can find that many men to ride on them. With your tiny army, how can you think of challenging even the weakest contingent of my master's troops? Even with the help of Egypt's chariots and charioteers, what more do you think we have invaded your land without Yahuwah's direction? Yahuwah himself told us, attack this land and destroy it. Then Eliakim, Shebna, and Joas said to the Assyrian chief of staff, please speak to us in Aramaic, for we understand it well. Oh boy. Sounds like they stopped speaking the Paleo already. Don't speak in Hebrew, for the people on the wall will hear. But Sennacherib, chief of staff, replied, do you think my master sent this message only to you and your master? He wants all the people to hear it. For when we put this city under siege, they will suffer along with you. They will be hungry and thirsty, that they will eat their own dung and drink their own urine. Then the chief of staff stood and shouted in Hebrew to the people on the wall, listen to this message from the great king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Don't let Hezekiahu deceive you. He will never be able to rescue you. Don't let him fool you into trusting Yahuwah by saying Yahuwah will surely rescue us. This city will never fall into the hands of the Assyrian king. Don't listen to Hezekiahu. These are the terms of the king of Assyria's offering. Make peace with me, open the gates and come out. Then each of you can continue eating from your own grapevine. and fig tree and drinking from your own well. Then I will arrange to take you to another land like this one, a land of grain and new wine, bread and vineyards. Don't let Hezekiah mislead you by saying, Yahuwah will rescue us. Have the mighty ones of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? What happened to the mighty ones of Hamath and Arpad? And what about the mighty ones of Sepharvaim? Did any mighty one rescue Samaria from my power? What mighty one of any nation has ever been able to save its people from my power? So what makes you think that Yahuwah can rescue Jerusalem from me? But the people were silent and did not utter a word because Hezekiah had commanded them, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and Joash, son of Asaph, the royal historian, went back to Hezekiah. They tore their clothes in despair, and they went in to see the king and told him what the Assyrian chief of staff had said. That is the end of chapter 36 of Yashayahu Isaiah. So, some interesting stuff this guy's claiming. Kind of sounding like a false prophet a little bit, saying that Yahuwah sent him to do all this.
He's casting out in the eyes of the Israelites that their mighty one can save them. And Hezekiah, who we're told was a very strong, he strongly believed in Yahuwah and did righteousness according to Second Chronicles is what it said. If I'm remembering correctly, is that the correct sovereign that we read about in Second Chronicles 29?
Yep. His only fault towards the end of his life was he got prideful and he messed up, and he was given like a leprosy towards the end of his life, and he did repent of it, but
he did what was right in the eyes of Yahweh, and according to all that his father Daud did. So he was a righteous ruler. Therefore, that's why this ruler of Assyria was trying to cast out in the eyes of the Israelites that Yahuwah would deliver them, and try to make Hezekiah look like a fool, which he was not. So that's what I'm getting out of it.
I kind of went kind of deep thinking right now of what this guy Sennacherib is doing, and he's pretty much equating Yahuwah with other mighty ones, and he's pretty much saying, just like what we talked about last night.
Yeah.
He doesn't get it. He's like, oh, well, look at all these other deities that we've destroyed, and you think Yahuwah's going to do anything different for you? So he's equating Yahuwah with all these idols.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get it. And then he starts using terminology that Yahuwah would be saying. He's like saying, I'm going to bring you to a land like this one. And I'm like, whoa, what is this guy? The Antichrist or something? He's like trying to pervert Yahuwah's words.
He tries to think he's something when he's not.
And then he starts talking about, he's bragging that no one can beat his armed forces. I'll give you 2,000 horses. And so he's very cocky. And another thing I started thinking about too is like this is kind of like he's kind of like trusting in his you know
His
basically
arm.
yeah his armed forces waging in war. And it's kind of funny because our own Capitol building has a statue of Mars, the god of war, outside
Yeah.
Washington D.C.
Imagine.
So it's kind of funny because the anti-Messiah in the book of Daniel says that he will esteem the mighty one of forces. So it's kind of like this anti-Messiah worships war or worships the deity of war. And it seems like this guy Sennacherib could be foretelling that because he's trusting in his soldiers, he's trusting in his ability to beat every army, and basically he's trusting in the power to make war. So it's kind of like the same thing. And so
He
that's
trusts his own might.
yeah, he's trusting in his own strength. And he's pretty much saying, who could save you from my hand, basically. So it's it's very interesting here. And let's see, and then he starts talking about how they've acted against Yahuwah. So he's like perverting, the truth. He's saying that, you've taken down Yahuwah's altars. Do you think he would really save you? So he definitely doesn't get it that Yahuwah is not an idol. He's definitely very deceived because he sees the apostasy that they were in. He thinks that Yahuwah is just another one of gods that they have created, or deities they have created with their hands. And because he's not making a distinction between Yahuwah and these other gods. He's pretty much saying, did any mighty one rescue Samaria from my power? Did any mighty one of any nation has ever been able to save its people? So he's trying to basically include Yahuwah with all these other false deities. He's trying to say that it's the same thing. And it's kind of interesting because we know from the Torah, Yahuwah says he is the one that can save. He's the only one that can save. So this kind of reminds me of the old phrase, delusions of grandeur. This guy has some delusions of grandeur here, saying that, what makes you think Yahuwah can save you from me? Like he's got some delusions of grandeur, this guy Sennacherib.
Yes, he does. Makes you want to finish the story.
Yep. All right. So who wants to read 37?
You want to read, Dennis? Oh, all right.
Okay. Sovereign Hezekiah heard this, and it came to be when Sovereign Hezekiah heard it, that he tore his cloak and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of Yahuwah and sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna, the scribe, and the elders of the Kohanim, covering themselves with sackcloth, to Yashiyahu, the Navi, the son of Amos. And they said to him, Thus says Hezekiah, this day is the day of distress and rebuke and scorn, for the children have come to birth, but there is no strength to bring forth. It could be that Yahuwah Elohim hears the words of the Rabbinah, whom his master, the sovereign Ashur, has sent to reproach and lit the living Elohim, and shall rebuke the words which Yahuwah your Elohim has heard. Therefore lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of sovereign Hezekiah came to Yeshayahu. And Yeshayahu said to them, say this to your master, says Yahuwah. Do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the sovereign of Esther have reviled me. Say, I am putting a spirit in him, and he shall hear a report and return to his own land. And I shall cause him to fall by the sword of his own land. And Rabshakeh returned and found the sovereign of Esther fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that he had left Lachish. And he heard concerning Tirhakah, sovereign of Cush, he has come out to fight with you. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hizkiyahu, saying, speak to Hizkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, saying, do not let your Elohim in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Esther. See, you have heard what the sovereigns of Esther have done to all lands by putting them under the ban. And are you going to be delivered? Have the mighty ones of the nations delivered those whom my fathers have destroyed, Gozan, Aran, and Retzith, and the sons of Eden, who were in Philistia? Where is the sovereign of Hamath? And the sovereign of Arpad, and the sovereign of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Awa? And Hezekiah Yahu received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went up to the house of Yahuwah and spread it before Yahuwah. And Hezekiah prayed to Yahuwah, saying, O Yahuwah of hosts, Elohim of Yisrael, one who dwells between the cherubim, you are Elohim, you alone. All the reigns of Haaretz, you have made the Shemayim and Haaretz. Incline your ear, O Yahuwah, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yahuwah, and see, and hear all the words of Sennacherib, who has sent to reproach the living Elohim. Truly, Yahuwah, the sovereigns of Ashur, have laid waste all the lands and their land. They have put their mighty ones into the fire, for they were not mighty ones, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and they destroyed them. And now, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, save us from his hand, so that all the reigns of Haaretz know that you are Yahuwah, you alone.
Then Yashayahu, son of Amoz, went to Hezekiah, saying, thus said Yahuwah, Elohim of Yisrael, because you have prayed to me against Sanherib, sovereign of Ashur, this is the word which Yahuwah has spoken concerning him. The maiden, the daughter of Zion, has despised you, mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head behind you. Whom have you reproached and reviled? And against whom have you raised your voice and lifted up your eyes in pride? Against the Kadesh one of Yisrael. By the hand of your servants you have reproached Yahuwah and said, with my many chariots I've come up to the height of the mountains, to the limits of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars and its choice cypress trees, and I enter its farthest height, its thickest forest. I have dug and drunk water, and with the soles of my feet I have dried up all the streams of defense. Have you not heard long ago how I made it from days of old, that I formed it? Now I have brought it about, that you should be for crushing walled cities into heaps of ruins, and their inhabitants were powerless. They were overthrown and put to shame. They were as the grass of the field, and as the green plant, and as the grass on the housetop, and as grain blighted before it is grown. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and your rage against me. And this is Yahweh talking. Because your rage against me and your pride have come up to my ears, I shall put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I shall turn you back by the way which you came. And this shall be the sign for you. This year you eat such as grows of itself, and the second year what springs from that. And in the third year, sow and reap. Plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. And the remnant who have escaped of the house of Yahudah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem comes forth a remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion. The ardor of Yahweh of hosts does this. Therefore, thus says Yahweh concerning the sovereign of Ashur, he does not come into the city, nor does he shoot an arrow there, nor does he come before it with shield, nor does he build a siege mound against it. By the way that he came, by the same he turns back, and into this city he does not come, declares Yahweh. And I shall defend this city to save it for my own sake and for the sake of my servant Daud. And a messenger of Yahweh went out and killed in the camp of Ashur 185,000. And they arose early in the morning and saw all of them dead bodies. And Sanherib, the sovereign of Ashur, broke camp and went away, and turned back and remained at Nineveh. And it came to be, as he was bowing himself in the house of Nisroch, his mighty one, that his sons Adramelech and Sarezer smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat. And his son Ashur-Hadon reigned in his place.
Seems like I've heard of this Nisroch before on Star Trek.
Probably. But, this just goes to show if Yahuwah is with you, you will be delivered.
No matter how proud or mighty they think they are.
And the pride one, he resists the proud and gives his mercy to the humble.
Mm-hmm.
That's a promise.
Very thankful for that.
So that's what we get out of it. And I apologize for all the background noise. It's stuff I can't do anything about.
Oh no, it's all good. It wasn't the background noise. I think for some reason Dennis wasn't coming through that loud, and that was the only thing I was having a hard time hearing when he was reading. But other than that, the background noise is not that bad.
Well, we have people coming and going, and doors closing and opening, and somebody was in the kitchen. I mean, it's just that's what I do. I rent rooms, so I'm just apologizing for that because I don't have any control over it.
Yeah, it's all good. I heard you the whole time. I think you just have a louder voice, so I can actually hear when you're reading. I think.
I've learned how to project.
Yeah.
Because I sing, I think. It's because I learned how to.
Definitely hear your voice in the choir.
Dennis says he can pick out my voice in a big choir. We had a choir when I was being worldwide, and it was like a huge choir, and he said he could pick out my voice.
So very, very interesting, this chapter. It's pretty much Yahuwah's response to Sennacherib, and Yahuwah basically, he's gonna rescue Yashrael because basically he's being challenged by Sennacherib, and he wants to show Sennacherib that he's the only mighty one. He's the only deity. And Hezekiah actually pleads with you, who is saying, show him that you're the only living Elohim. So that's what I got from this chapter, was like, this is like Yahuwah and Hezekiah's response to the assumptions, to the accusations of Sennacherib. And Yahuwah in this, from verses 21 to the end, is pretty much, pronouncing judgment. And my favorite verse is the last one, which talks about the Malachim of Yahuwah, which could have been Yahusha, because a lot of times where you see that title, the angel of Yahuwah, or where it says the Malachim, a lot of times it's referring to a specific, specifically it refers to pre-incarnate Yahusha. And a lot of times you'll see that where it says the angel of Yahuwah was in the burning bush. I mean, there's so many times where that title is being used, and it's not referencing just a regular Malachim. So I think this is actually referring to Yahusha before he took on flesh. And there's a lot of other references in the book of Deuteronomy for people who are listening in on this recording, where it says, I will send you my Malachim, my messenger, and, he will not pardon your sin. He is to direct you the way you should go. And so a lot of times Yahusha is actually called, he's given that title, the Malachim of Yahuwah, especially where it says the Malachim of Yahuwah. It's like what's it called, exclusive to one person. And it says, that night the Malachim of Yahuwah went out to the Assyrian camp and killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. When the surviving Assyrians woke up the next morning, they found corpses everywhere. Then the king Sennacherib of Assyria broke camp and turned to his own land. He went home to his capital of Nineveh. So this might shed some light of who the Assyrian is, because it says his capital of Nineveh. And I just want, for the viewers, I want to show them where this connection possibly could be referring to is, let me go to, not that, let me go to my Bible discovery here and go to Genesis, I believe it's 11, and actually says one of Nimrod's capitals was Nineveh. And let me see here, land of Shinar, and let's see. I want to go to the verse that talks about the beginning of his kingdom. I think it might actually be the chapter before that. I think it's somewhere in chapter 10. Yeah, right here. Genesis 10:8 says, and Cush begat Nimrod, or Septuagint says Nimrod, which is weird. I guess that's because of the Greek. He began to be a giant upon the earth. He was a giant hunter before Yahuwah Elohim. Therefore they say as Nimrod, the giant hunter before Yahuwah. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babylon, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and Shinar. And this is where it continues, and it says in verse 11 of chapter 10 of Genesis, and out of that land came Assyria. Coincidence? And he built Nineveh. So, who is, even though there's many Assyrian kings, in verse 36 of the chapter we just read, I think it says the Assyrian, or it says the king of Assyria. So who knows? It's possible that Sennacherib has some type of connection to Nimrod, and who knows? We don't know if he had any lineage. We are not told in Scripture of his genealogy, Nimrod's, whether he had children or not. So who knows? It's
this Nisroch that says it's his mighty one might be another name for Nimrod.
Yeah, Nisroch. Could the Hebrew equivalent of that could be Malcolm? So many different names. When you go to the book of Micah, where it talks about the star of Malcolm, Remphan. I mean, for that star mighty one, they give about 3 or 4 different names in Scripture. So I mean, it's definitely possible. Actually, for the viewers, I actually want to show them that I think it's in the book of Micah or Malachi. Let me check on this one. The star of your God. And the English is always translated, especially in the Greek New Testament, they translate that as Remphan. Amos chapter 5, verse 26 is where Stephen gets it from. He's actually quoting from the Old Testament. So let's go to Amos chapter 5, verse 26. I wonder how the Septuagint, what name they give it. Really? Interesting. Yes, you took up the tabernacle of Molech, the star of your God, Remphan, the images of them which you made for yourselves. And then it says in verse 27, and I will carry you away beyond Damascus, says Yahuwah, the Almighty Elohim is his name. Wow. So you have Molech, you have Remphan, you have Kiyun. I think some translations say, there's probably like 5 or 6 different names for the same guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nisroch is that same false deity, that star god that they worship. So
yeah, Nisroch.
Anyway, it's very clear that the Nineveh in Assyria was founded by Nimrod. So whoever this Sennacherib, king of Assyria guy is, he's probably somewhat related either genealogically or is a successor of the same kingdom. So that it's pretty much the same spirit too as with this guy. This guy, he's very arrogant. He thinks that no one can save Yashrael from his hand. He's got the same type. And another thing to add is I was listening earlier this week. Did you know there's a theory that the king of Egypt, the pharaoh of Egypt around the time of the Yashraelites was not Egyptian? I just found this out the other day, that supposedly the Hebrew word for not another king, the word another can actually mean of a different ethnicity. The Hebrew word that means another in that verse. So Rob Skiba's theory is that this king of Egypt, this pharaoh of Egypt that came after Joseph, that did not know Joseph, could be a Syrian king. And that's his theory. And so I thought I would just bring that up. And because supposedly the Hebrew word means like of another kind.
Could we pause the recording for a moment?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're going to pause the recording, guys, just for a little bit.
And Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall and prayed unto Yahuwah and said, Remember now, O Yahuwah, I beseech thee, how I walked thee before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. And then came the word of Yahuwah to Isaiah, saying, Go and say to Hezekiah, Thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of David the father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears, behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years. And I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And this shall be a sign unto thee from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah will do this thing that he had spoken. Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, and which is gone down in the sun dial of Ahaz 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down. On the writing of Hezekiah king of Judah, when he had been sick, and was recovered from the sickness. And I said, in the cutting of my days, I shall go to the gates of the grave, and I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I shall not see Yahuwah, even Yahuwah in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more in the inhabitants of the world. Mine age is departed, and is removed from me as a shepherd's tent. I have cut off like a weaver my life. And he will cut off my pinning sickness. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. I reckon till morning, that as a lion, so will he break all of my bones. From day even to night wilt thou make an end to me. Like a crane or a swallow did I chatter. I did mourn as a dove. Mine eyes fail without looking upward. Mine eyes fail with looking upward. O Yahuwah, I am oppressed. Undertake for me. What shall I say? He had spoken unto me, and himself hath done it. I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. O Yahuwah, by these things men live, and all these things is the life of my spirit. So wilt thou recover me, and make me to live. Behold, for peace I had great bitterness. For thou hast loved to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption. For thou hast all my sins behind my back. For the grave cannot praise thee, death cannot celebrate thee. They go down unto the pit, cannot hope for thy truth. The living, he shall praise thee as I do this day. The father to the children shall make known thy truth. Yahuwah was ready to save thee. Save me. Therefore we sing my songs to the string instruments all the days of our lives to the house of Yahuwah. For Isaiah had said, let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster on the boil, that he shall recover. Hezekiah also had said, what is the sign that I shall go up to the house of Yahuwah?
This is an interesting chapter.
Oh yeah, I remember somewhere, man can track the sun and moon and stars. They've been doing it for thousands of years. And I think they calculated, they found this discrepancy here, bringing the shadow back 10 degrees. And they said, I think that's equivalent to something like 45 minutes, I think, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And remember, the earth is sitting still. This is the creation going around the earth.
Yes. And we have been lied to about everything. So I recommend that anyone listening to this, please check it out for yourself. Watch the videos that people have put out about flat earth, because they have proven it. Especially Rob Skiba has done a marvelous work on that. I would check out his videos, and Jeranism, and who are some of the others?
Marxism?
No, he didn't. He believes in the globe, Dennis.
Oh,
um,
John
Doug,
Pounder.
I know Doug. You know some of the people that have put out some good videos.
Oh, Flat Earth. There's so many of them. There's well, Skiba's obviously the biggest one with.
Yeah, if they go watch Skiba's stuff, that they will see.
There's a lot of Christian truthers out there, like I'm trying to think of the one guy. I think his name is D13 Watchman. You have a bunch of Christian truthers out there. All you need to do is type in like Flat Earth on YouTube, and you'll probably find like different people. I think The Truth Never Sleeps. He's another one that talks about Flat Earth. Richie from Boston. Who else? There's a Face Like the Sun. I think even believes in Flat Earth. Like most of them have come to the Flat Earth side, which is interesting that they've come to the Flat Earth, but not.
There's so much proof. I mean, Skiba tried to disprove the Flat Earth. He tried to prove the globe, and he ended up proving the Flat Earth. And he, at first, didn't even want to believe it. But after years of proof after proof after proof after proof, he finally came to the conclusion, yeah, it must be flat, and it must not move. And even made a model of four corners of the earth, and then the circle of the earth inside the four corners, and the globe, not globe, what do you call it over on top, the dome on top of it. And then on top of that, you got the waters that are separated from the waters below. So, I mean, it's just like the Genesis model. The Genesis tells you how it's laid out, and people don't believe that. They believe the lie that
I believe in evolution.
everybody has been in a classroom that had a big globe sitting on the teacher's desk. And if you've taken science courses, you were taught evolution instead of creation. And boy, especially if you go through pre-med, it is like all over the place. So I didn't mean to get on a tangent, but this turning back the sun on the sundial 10 degrees can be proven, and someone did prove that it was it adding 10, 15, 45 minutes,
45 minutes, yeah.
to the day, or detracting it. I was thinking it added it.
It added.
Okay. Anyway, that is something that can be Googled. And moving right along, I was thinking as she was reading this chapter of how people today will say similar things like, I did this to myself. You know, when they go through the Great Tribulation, they're going to say, I have no one to blame but myself. Someone told me the truth. His name might be Doug, or her name might be Laura, or Sally, or Shoshana, or his name might be Dennis, or John Pounders, or Bob Skiba. Put your name in there. And they taught me the truth, and I didn't listen. And now look what I've got. See, that's how it is. great tribulation is coming, and you're going to end up regretting not changing. But Hezekiah got 15 years added to his days, and his heart was basically good, and Yahweh saw that and removed his sickness, and he was, I think he'll probably be in the kingdom.
And I also noticed in verse 18, my translation says Hebrew word in verse 18, Sheol.
Yep.
Now I wanted to bring this up because most Christians believe hell is a name for the lake of fire, but if you look up the Greek word hell, it actually means the exact thing as the Hebrew Sheol. So technically, because like I can go and show you guys in my Septuagint right now, which I'll put on the screen here, it actually gives you Hades for Sheol. So it's telling you that this word hell or Hades that's used in the Greek is the exact equivalent to Sheol. So where it says in Isaiah 38:18, for they that are in the grave shall not praise you, neither shall the dead bless you, neither shall they that are in Hades hope for your mercy. So the lie that the hell is the lake of fire, hell's the grave. Hell's like literally the place where everyone goes that has died up to this point. I wanted the viewers to understand that. And the lake of fire, the actual correct terminology and where the ISR actually fixes what the King James has errored in some places, like in Matthew, is it's supposed to be Gehenna. It's not supposed to be hell. And like I'll show an example. Let's see, I'm on my BibleStudyTools.com. Matthew 10:18 is one of them. And so if I go to the scriptures 1998, Matthew 10:18 will say, the only thing that sucks is I got to keep putting this on share screen, but oh well. And it says, and you shall be brought forth before, oh, hold on. Maybe I got the verse wrong. Let me see. I think it might be 10.
Brought before governors.
Let me see. Right here, this is the one I was thinking of. Matthew 10:28, not 18.
Yeah.
And do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the being, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both being and body in Gehenna. So the scriptures 1998 actually fixed that. The King James unfortunately says hell, which hell and Hades are like a same thing. So that's where people get the wrong idea that hell is the lake of fire, because the King James, I probably on purpose mistranslated that verse.
No doubt.
So let me see if there's another one that, this is the best one, and we're still on my share screen right here. This is what exposes the idea that hell and the lake of fire are the same place, because right here, Revelations 20:13-14 says, the sea gave up the dead, or the grave, that were in it, and the grave and Hades gave up the dead that were in them. Each person was judged according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. So right there it's saying Hades, or hell, is thrown into the lake of fire. So it's actually telling you that these are two completely different places. So I just want whoever's listening on this recording, if there's any Christians listening, that they're not the same place. One's the grave and one's the place of eternal judgment, which is the lake of fire. And Gehenna and hell are completely two different places. So I just wanted to.
So death and the grave are thrown into this lake of fire.
Yeah, like basically the bottomless pit, Sheol, the underworld is the place of the dead is thrown into the lake of fire. And most mythology actually has a place called the underworld. Like, they understand that. Like, we're not the only ones with that type of cosmology. The Greeks understood the underworld. They named their god of the underworld Hades. That's why we have Hades in our Bibles today, because you had stupid Greeks putting their religion, trying to insert their religion into our scriptures, and that's why Hades is there. But hell is also interchangeable for Hades. So wherever you see Hades, hell or Sheol can be understood as that's what it's talking about. And unfortunately, the Greek people have put in certain stuff like that in our scriptures and terminology that comes from their religion. But
Mm-hmm.
but that's what it really is.
I used to sing a song in choir back years ago. It's called New Heavens and New Earth, and part of that song went, there will be no more death, no more sorrow or crying, and there will be no more pain. And I love that song because it's talking about when you receive your spirit body that is incorruptible. Because right now we have on corruptible bodies, and when we receive our incorruptible bodies, that's when there will be no more death, no more sorrow, no more pain, no more crying. I look forward to that day. It's going to wipe away every tear. I shall wipe away every tear. Love that song.
All right. And you guys sound really, really good from your new setting right now. You guys sound great. So let me see here. So that's pretty much what I got from 38. That one verse really jumped out at me. So that was pretty cool. Trying to see if there's anything else. See, pretty much he's just thankful that Yahuwah is able to heal him. Before, he seemed very depressed and he felt like he would never see his loved ones again. He would never be with his friends, and that, he would be in basically sorrow for the rest of his existence. That's what it seems like he's saying.
It was his fault, and he repented.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Yahuwah wants from everyone, which is why the Great Tribulation has to come upon the world. It's not for us to keep his word.
Yeah. I believe the Jacob's trouble is a type of punishment, because in earlier in the book of Isaiah it says that the inhabitants have transgressed the everlasting covenant, and it talks about in Isaiah 25 that because we have done this, judgment has to come. And so I believe, Jacob's trouble is a way of Yahuwah really basically repaying us for what we have done. But
Well, it's a wake-up call for Israel.
It's a wake-up call for his chosen, and it's also kind of like a minor punishment to the world before he executes his whole wrath.
Mm-hmm.
It's even a wake-up call to them, because
it is.
Because it's kind of like, okay, if you don't repent now, you're going to face my full wrath. It's pretty much him giving them a one last chance before his entire wrath comes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, because then he's going to just burn them up. If they haven't repented at that point, he will burn them up.
And what's interesting is the judgment he puts on this world in the end times is the same judgment he gave Sodom and Gomorrah, which is really interesting when I think about it, because he rained fire from the heavens when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So it's like almost the same exact thing. And pretty much, Yahuwah promised Abraham, he's like, even there's so and such righteous people, I won't do it. So it's like, it's kind of like the same aspect. It's like, Yahuwah doesn't want to do it, but in a way he has to. It's like, if he doesn't punish us, for what we've done, we're just going to keep going worse and worse and worse. Technically, if there's no day of Yahuwah, all flesh wouldn't be saved.
No, everyone would die.
So, when Yahusha says, because of the chosen sake, those days are shortened, the day of Yahuwah is part of that being shortened. He's gotta use something to shorten those days. So, in a way, it's for our protection too that he's doing this, because if he doesn't stop what's coming, no flesh physically would be saved. It would be, I truly believe this transhumanism thing, if it doesn't get shortened, there's not going to be one pure person left. It's going to be like the days of Noah all over again, but worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the way it's going. But there are going to be 2 witnesses. We're going to be preaching to the whole world from Jerusalem. And we hope that everyone will listen to them, because they will be preaching the truth.
Yeah, and that's really interesting when you think about it, because that makes a lot more sense than being in Jerusalem, because the anti-Messiah, the beast, is going to be the one killing them. So it's going to be like they're the ones trying to wake people up, trying to tell people, what's really going on. And then, he realizes, they're messing up his plan, and then he goes after them. Because I could imagine the 2 witnesses are probably telling the Jews and everyone there, they're like, yo, stop worshiping him. Like, don't be making a covenant with this guy. And I'm like, I could just imagine it like a movie. It's like, and then he's like, oh, you stop meddling with my plans. Like, and I can just imagine what the reason he's killing them is because they're messing with the one world religion that he has planned.
And here's why you don't want to be in Jerusalem, because Daniel 11 verse 45 tells us that the beast and false prophet will pitch their tents between the seas and the splendid Kadesh Mountain, that's Mount Zion, but shall come to his end with none to help him. But that's where the beast and the false prophet will rule from, is right there at Mount Zion.
Oh, yeah.
It's in between Mount Zion and the Mediterranean Sea.
Pope has already boasted he's bought the land.
Yes, the Pope already bought Mount Zion.
Well, that's why I'm glad that the true Mount Zion is going to be coming out of the air, and the true Jerusalem is going to be coming from Yahuwah's throne in heaven, and not here. So when people get like, they're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to be in the physical Jerusalem, I'm like, I don't want to be in that Jerusalem right now.
No.
I can't wait for that Jerusalem to fade away and for a new heaven, for the new heavens and new earth.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I don't even want to visit that Jerusalem right now. I want to be nowhere near that thing.
Um, Dennis has a comment to make about Jerusalem
Yeah.
and Israel in general.
Yeah, a friend of ours went over there, and she told us how such a mess it is. There are people that are possessed with evil spirits on every corner.
Hmm.
That was horrible.
And just people just run, traveling around, just going from place to place like nomads, living in yurts. And a lot of them were talking crazy stuff. Some of them were pretending to be prophets and this and that. And
Jesus.
yeah. So it's right now it's a mess.
No, you don't need to go to Jerusalem.
And
You don't need to go to Israel.
Judaism itself is a mess because they put their Talmud over
Oh yeah,
the word.
their traditions. Oh, you should have had a time with them with that, putting their traditions above Scripture.
Yes, and it's the same today. Nothing's changed.
Stuff that's worse.
Yeah, and the Talmud contains the Kabbalah, and Kabbalah is witchcraft.
Numerology.
So you do not want to get involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
Stick to the word. This book right here, and Book of Enoch. Don't forget the Book of Enoch because it is for the end time, and other books of the Apocrypha, like Maccabees, should have been in the canonized version, my opinion.
Wow. All right, so we are about to start 39, which is another short one. Really short. Huh. Okay, I think I'll do this one. It says envoys from Babylon. So we're switching gears here. Seems like this setting is going to be more about the Babylonian kingdom. Funny enough. Soon after this, Merodach Baladan, son of Baladan, the king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah his best wishes and a gift. He had heard that Hezekiah had been very sick and that he had recovered. Hezekiah was delighted with the Babylonian envoys and showed them everything in his treasure houses. The silver, the gold, the spices, and the aromatic oils. He also took them to see his armory and showed them everything in his royal treasuries. There was nothing in the palace of the king that Hezekiah did not show them. Then Yashayahu, Isaiah, the prophet, went to King Hezekiah and asked him, "What did those men want? Where were they from?" Hezekiah replied, "They came from the distant land of Babylon." "What did they see in your palace?" asked Yashayahu. "They saw everything." Hezekiah replied, "I showed them everything. I own all my royal treasuries." Then Yashayahu said to Hezekiah, "Listen to this message from Yahuwah of heaven's armies. The time is coming when everything in your palace, all the treasuries stored up by your ancestors until now, will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says Yahuwah. Some of your very own sons will be taken away into exile." Wow. "They will become eunuchs who will serve in the palace of Babylon's king." Then Hezekiah said to Yashayahu, "This message you have given me from Yahuwah is good." For the king was thinking, "At least there will be peace and security during my lifetime." So it seems as if Yahuwah's time of dealing with Yehuda, at least at that point, Yehuda's at the breaking point. He's like, all right, and this is right before the Babylonian captivity, pretty much, I would think. This is talking about his Hezekiah's sons being exiled. So very interesting. And I wonder if you guys have a different name for the king of Babylon in your translation, or does it say the same thing?
None says the same.
Okay. All right. It's just very interesting. I never knew about this king before. I always knew about Nebuchadnezzar, but I never knew about this guy. So this is interesting. It seems like that's something I'm gonna have to look up. Has there been more than one exile to Babylon? That's something I need to look up for myself, because it seems like at least his sons and his family are being, taken away to Babylon.
Well, yeah.
So
Daniel went when he was a boy.
And it's not just his sons, but I mean, the way I'm seeing it, it's all the children of Israel, because they will have left the narrow way. That's the only time that Yahuwah punishes our people, is when we leave the narrow way and go after the world.
Right. After being warned.
Yeah. After being warned and being part of the covenant, if you leave, you better watch out. It's not a good thing to do.
So that's going to be an extracurricular research for me this week.
You're referring to verse 7, right?
We just finished 39 of Yashayahu.
Right, but you're referring to King and verse 7, right?
Yeah, I wonder. Well, I'm referring to the time period of this exile. Is this the same exile? I wonder. I'm just thinking in my head. I wonder if this is the same exile that Nebuchadnezzar was, because around the time of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar was the one that was taking them out of Yehuda.
Right.
I'm just wondering, is there two different exiles? Was there one in the days of Isaiah, and then there was one directly after him? Because Isaiah's not too much before Daniel, time period wise. So I just wonder, like, what's going on here? Is this maybe this king precedes Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadnezzar takes over? Like, I'm just thinking of stuff in my head.
Or better yet, maybe it's a double prophecy.
Yeah, I wonder.
Well, it says that the days are coming. Right at that time, the days are coming. So
okay. So the days are coming, meaning in the future. Oh, okay. Yeah, and it does say at the end, too, that there's going to be peace in his reign, in Hezekiah's reign. So this might not be happening as I thought. It might be in the future, in the soon future, that they get carried away.
Yes, that's how I'm seeing it.
Right.
Okay.
That's why.
That makes a lot more sense.
That's why Hezekiah said to Yashayahu that the word of Yahuwah, what you have spoken is good, because he wanted peace in his time.
There is peace and truth in my days.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is interesting. Did you know the name Noah means rest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wow. And I remember Chuck Missler, he did like a study where he took the meanings of the names of the I guess the first genealogy or whatever, the all the patriarchs of Genesis, and he got their meanings of the names, and then he made a sentence out of it, like a message, like a coded message. Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed Elohim will come and teach him that his death will give him rest. Yeah. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's crazy. And
the prophecy is true, because we're almost there. Just a few more years. Almost there.
Wow. So that was a very brief chapter of 39. So now I wonder if Yahuwah looked favorably upon him showing his treasures to the Babylonians, or I wonder how Yahuwah looked at that. Like, was it foolish of Hezekiah to do that? Because I was just reading the first part of the chapter we just read. Like, when I was reading, I was thinking in my head, that's kind of foolish. Like, this is a nation that doesn't serve Yahuwah, and you're showing them all your riches. Like, that's a little weird. I don't know if I would have done that.
Yeah, that was a little prideful, I think.
Like casting your pearls before swine.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, these guys were pagans, and Babylon was pretty much the worship of like the guy who founded it. So I would think they can't be trusted. I mean, I wouldn't be trusting a Babylonian kingdom coming in and trying to look at all my wealth. Like, what are you trying to do? You trying to steal this from me? Like why are you worried about how much I own? Like, I don't know, that's a little weird to me. That, I don't know. That's what I was thinking when I was reading it. I was like, what is he doing? I don't know.
And when they do come and take them away, they take all of that stuff.
See, the days are coming when all that is in your house and what your fathers have stored up until this day shall be taken away to Babel.
Just take a little break.
Let me read it. Daniel 9:27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the middle of the week he shall put an end to slaughtering and meal offering, and on the wing of abominations he shall lay waste, even until the complete end, and that which is decreed is poured out on the one who lays waste. And I've got it crossed with Genesis 29:27 and Daniel 11:31.
Yeah, I agree that that treaty or that covenant that he makes with many is the peace treaty that Palestine will have with Israel. And I believe once that happens, then we know we're in that time period. We're in what is known as the week, the 1 week covenant time period. And so that's something I want to keep my eyes on. But even before that, I want to keep my eyes on, like I said last night, what's going to start for me really looking into this thing is, when is the temple going to be built? When are they going to even start physically building it? Because they haven't even done that yet. Supposedly they were supposed to start building it years ago, but it never got through. So I'm going to keep a close my personal belief is keep a close watch on Trump and what he's trying to do, because he just made a statement the other day that, we're trying our best to get peace in the Middle East and peace between Israel and Palestine. So my eyes are on what he's doing right now. And is he going to start working with the Sanhedrin to get the temple built quickly? Because right now they've wasted a lot of time. They supposedly were supposed to have that thing built by now, and they haven't put one stone up. So I have a funny feeling if the tribulation is going to be sooner than we thought, then they have to start. The devil's got to start working a lot quicker than what he's working right now, because they haven't even put one stone up.
I know.
So me personally, my time starts where I start seeing these prophecies being fulfilled, and start seeing. That's where my eschatological clock, as you would call it, might start. Is okay. They got the third temple built. Okay, check mark. When is the anti-Messiah going to reveal himself? Check mark. abomination, the image of the beast, check mark. When all those are happening successively, I believe that's the time that
Yeah,
that
the abomination.
this happens.
That is,
So I believe there's going to be a physical image. There's going to be a statue in the third temple. There's going to be a physical statue that's put in there, so that's something to look for. But even before that, we have to see, the anti-Messiah reveal himself. So we still have a little bit of time before those events happen. What is preventing them from happening at this moment is the third temple. They need that. Without that, the other dominoes can't fall, as the saying goes. You need that first, and then it's going to happen. But right now, they're not even starting to build it yet. So,
that we know of.
That we know of, that the news has reported. There's no escalation to these plans. There's no, supposedly the Sanhedrin a year ago was trying to recruit Trump for building the temple, but nothing happened out of it. So I believe Yahuwah has been successfully thwarting the devil's plans for a reason. He's kind of like, not yet, bud. No, you gotta wait. You gotta wait.
Give people time to get ready.
That's right.
Yeah, Yahuwah's like, no, it's my timing, bud, when I'm gonna allow you to do this. Yeah. You gotta do it on my time.
Yeah, he's putting stumbling blocks in their way. So
yeah, me personally, I think we got a little bit more time than people think. I will be surprised though if they don't start building the temple by the end of this year. I will say that.
Yeah.
I'll be extremely surprised if they don't start building it by the end of 2018 into next year.
Anthony Patch said that this was the year. I mean, he actually came out and said it.
So that's the one thing I'm going to be looking for really in the news, and I need to start going on these mainstream. I hate looking at mainstream news, but I'm going to have to start really looking at.
I don't like mainstream news either, but if you come across anything significant, post it on our.
I will. I'm even going to be going to InfoWars and Alex Jones and all that because sometimes he'll report stuff like that. So I'm going to be going on every resource I know of, and I'm trying to think who's the guy that does a lot about the end time stuff. Richie from Boston's great for that. He does the whole UFO deception thing. He's always on the lookout for that. And that's another thing we got to look out for too is alien disclosure. That's going to be another sign, even though it's not literally in scripture. I have a feeling the alien disclosure thing is going to happen right before the anti-Messiah comes on the scene. I think.
Yeah, that's all part of it.
Yeah, I think that you have to have a false prophet, meaning the Pope, making this announcement that, oh yeah, aliens have been with us the whole time. Just to let you guys know, our government has kept them a secret this whole time, and they got to put that deception in there that everything you know about the Bible is wrong, everything you know about religion is wrong, to get people ready for this one world religion. That has to happen too, so that they will accept Nimrod when he comes on the scene. And so that already that seed is planted in their mind. Oh, well, I didn't interpret scripture right, so maybe this guy is the Messiah. So it's all a process. It all has to happen successively. And without one ingredient of their so-called master plan, it's going to fall apart. They need everything to happen correctly. Before even that, they need chaos. They need like a World War III event. And I've been watching for that for a while. Because they need something that's going to be catastrophic. That's going to be like the whole world is in shambles and they're crying out for a human savior.
According to Matthew 24, that doesn't happen until the abomination of desolation is placed.
Oh yeah, that's true because it says sudden safety comes.
Sudden destruction.
Yeah, so after peace and safety, meaning after the peace covenant, sudden destruction. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the anti-Messiah causes that stuff to happen. Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of events that have to happen either way that have not happened yet. So I definitely believe we possibly have a little bit more time, and we have a little bit more time to get right with Yahuwah right now. And he honestly he could have had the tribulation happen 5 years ago. I really thought that, but I remember coming into this truth around 2014, 15, thinking, man, it's going to be any day now. Because even as a Christian, I was like, man, all this stuff is happening, the wars, famines, and all this stuff. I'm like, man, we're about to be in the beginning of the birth pains. But we still haven't gotten to the beginning of the birth pains yet. So he's definitely showing favor to us.
I think we are in the beginning of the birth pains. The earthquakes in various places, and the weather has been horrible.
Yeah, that's true. I would have to take that correction. That's true.
Chemtrails are horrible.
Fukushima.
Yeah, Fukushima. That was a birth pain. That was major.
Killing all the fish.
I can't eat fish. Nobody can. Nothing.
Not without checking it with a Geiger counter first.
Yeah, I just don't eat it.
Oh, you're not able to eat fish?
Not since Fukushima.
Oh man.
Yeah, the radiation.
They poisoned the whole Pacific Ocean, and guess what? The Pacific runs into the Atlantic and runs into all of the seas. All the seas run together.
Dang.
So
Makes the seas.
wow. I am not eating.
Dude, that's amazing. I didn't even realize that ocean goes into all those other oceans.
Yeah, look at a world map, and you'll see what I'm saying is all the seas run in together.
Yeah, and it shows the current going from Japan, going straight towards the west coast, California.
Oh, another thing that's very interesting too is all of a sudden now they're trying to keep the brainwashing going of the Shroud of Turin. Because I remember I think only like 2 years ago, they had this movie out, another resurrection movie out, like similar to The Passion, but it was called,
Is that Risen?
Yeah, it was called Risen, and in that movie, they show the Shroud of Turin, and the Roman soldier says, we have a potential for a Messiah. And I found that weird the way he said it, because I'm like, a Messiah? Like, it's kind of like generic. It's like, a Messiah? Like you would think that they would say, we have a potential for the Messiah, like the Savior. But he says, a Messiah. Like, I'm like, huh.
Oh, yeah, just like any Messiah.
Very generic. Kind of had me thinking, well, this is like programming for people to accept Nimrod. Because all he has to do is come on the scene, match his face up with the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
Like, see, that's me. I'm Jesus. Like, that's all he has to do.
That could be the DNA they got. That could be it. I don't know. But you have a point.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes on the scene looking like Caesar Borgia, and then they match up the Shroud of Turin, which technically is very similar to that image, and I mean, millions of Christians would believe it. Millions of Christians, where Christianity is today, there is no sound soundness of biblical, knowledge. It's really, they take the pastor's words over the Bible.
That is the whole idea behind Nicolaitanism.
Yeah.
It's teaching of men from the top down, and they don't allow the laity to speak, and they don't allow the laity to get information from other places, especially in the Word.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, the
And
Ruach is not there.
teach one another the truth. They don't allow them to keep the Sabbath or the feast days. They keep them in a little box.
End up barbed wire around.
Yeah, you can't learn anything in those little boxes.
Mm.
Plus, yes, the horse is coming. The horse is coming. The Zeus.
But they will throw people out for coming up with any truth.
Well, yeah, if you haven't been thrown out of an assembly, you're not doing anything.
Oh, you're not what, Dennis? I apologize for blowing my nose.
I say if you haven't been thrown out of an assembly, then you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, maybe doing something, but they're not doing the right thing.
Well, if you're not gonna get thrown out of it, at least leave it.
Yeah.
At least get out of there. I mean, that's I would say that's the bare minimal, is to get out of her. So
I'm happy for my people.
Yeah.
And that always seems to be the recurring theme in our group and in Scripture. It's like, gotta come out of her. And I started thinking lukewarm could possibly be wanting to be like the world, but also wanting to be Yahuwah's child at the same time. Like, I started really thinking about.
You cannot be like the world and still be a hood. It doesn't work.
Yeah, he said, I'd rather you be cold or hot, not lukewarm.
Yeah, I'll spew you out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Phew, vomit you. I think some versions say that.
Yeah, the good old King Jimmy actually says that, I believe. Says, I will vomit you out of my mouth. It's because the King James uses the Textus Receptus, which is pretty much the authoritative Greek New Testament. Pretty much, there's very few translations that take the Textus Receptus over. Not the Textus Receptus, but the Codex Sinaiticus over it. Because the origin of it is from Egypt, which most first century believers never really trusted. They never really trusted it because it came out of Egypt, and the third one is a Vatican manuscript. Like, why would any? Not even the translators want to take a Vatican manuscript. They're like, no, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Unless they can get to the real manuscripts that are hidden there.
Yeah, they have all the true Hebrew scrolls hidden away under the Vatican, and nobody can get to them.
Well, hopefully when the Vatican falls, maybe some of those things we'll find under the ruins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to burn,
Yep.
so.
Oh, it'll burn.
Especially since I realized that, obviously, so the woman, the harlot, is that city. That city's going to be burned to the ground, technically.
Yes.
Yeah.
It says that she is that great city. So when it's talking about Babylon has fallen, it's actually talking about the city of Vatican and Rome being burned to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And then she moves to Jerusalem. Revelation 11, not Revelation, Daniel 11. I think it's verse 45 or something like that.
So do we want to do another chapter or two, or?
It doesn't matter. I think we're probably done, unless y'all decide that you really want to go on.
No, I think this is a good place to stop. We read about 4 chapters, and actually more than that. We read about 4 chapters. So
It was super long.
yeah, so we read what, 40? Or no, we read 39. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we'll just end at 39, and we'll start next time at 40. But one of them was a really long one. I think it was 37 was.
Yeah, that's the one Dennis and I read.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Let's go to. Okay, we're back. Let's see. We're gonna go to. Oh, we were on recording the whole time. Oh wow, my bad about that.
Been recording all this?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was on recording. All right, well, you guys enjoyed a lot of extra info and extra conversation there. Thank you for joining us today. This is Brother Doug, Sister Shoshana, and Brother Dennis with me, and Sister Sally and Sister Laura. So we wish you guys a great rest of the week. Hope you join us next Shabbat. So we read from Yashayahu Isaiah chapter 36 to 39. Hope you guys tune in next time.
Yeah.